So, session 6. The next session is going to be about how can brand identity be established. On the left corner, we have Sakamoto-san from Arograph. And on the right corner, we have Roy Husada from Rare Standard. Okay, so let's give the mic to you guys.
Alrighty. So shall we start?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Do you want to start or should I start?
either way, shall I?
Well, can I just ask, like, what the heck is brand identity anyways? They asked me to come up here and talk about it, and I was like,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
What is this thing?
Right. Okay. So before that, let me just, introduce ourselves.
Oh yeah, we didn't
Yeah,
do that.
we didn't do this. So okay. Shall I? Okay. So my name is Manabu Sakamoto. I'm a graphic designer. Used to work for Sony for 20 years or so, and then started my own design studio called Aerograph back in 2011. So that kind of gives us an idea how old I am. But anyway, so focusing on
Very old too.
well, compared to me, it's
It's not a contest.
yeah, right, okay. But anyway, so that put aside, we are focused on the branding and also UI, UX design, and also graphic design in general. So here we are. Your turn.
And I'm Roy. I'm originally from Canada. I moved to Japan 10 years ago, and my company, RS, stands for Rare Standard. And my background is in design, and I became an art director, then I became a producer, then I became a creative director, then I started my own company, and now I manage people, and I try to ask for money, and I'm trying to make things work. I'm just trying to hold things together, and it's just barely making it. But I'm here today because my company works on brand operations for various companies. Some of you may have heard. One of them is called Spotify. Uh, my company's been working with them since before we launched in Japan, kind of working in the background, like one of the stage people, um, but working on brand, things like typography, guidelines, stuff like that. And other clients that we work with Adobe, we work with LinkedIn, a few notable ones, and that was weird.
Not me.
All right, so let's get started.
Yeah.
Brand identity.
Yes. Yes. What is it? Actually, I chose this topic because I was going to be paired with you, Roy-san, and the brand is somehow one of the common threads that we have, more or less, I guess. And the brand identity, even though we say that how can brand identity can be established, we are not necessarily talking about how to do that. Our question is more on the duality. And just as other speakers kind of are raised, there's a duality in the brand identity, or for that matter, identity itself has the duality. What it is we tend to forget, but the brand that we can own, and of course we could claim the ownership of the brand, but the true brand is built in people's mind. It's a perception, right?
Well, that's the main thing, right? And I
Yeah.
was interested to hear what what you're going to say about this, because the interesting thing about a brand is like we actually don't make the brand, we
Yeah.
just influence it.
Right, right. So the true question is, how can we do that? Because we think that we have control, but in reality, it's not. And it's kind of it's a kind of relationship we would have to build in between brand owner and the customers. Now, how can we do that?
That's a good question. And then doesn't it change over time too? We're kind of touching on this a bit, and like the whole thing about building a brand identity, and I've been around doing this kind of stuff for 30 years. So it's pretty different from when I started off in my career as well.
Yeah.
Definitely it's become more complex. I don't know about you, but I think there's so many more things, right?
It is getting more complex. Yeah. Yeah.
Before you could be the graphic designer, but now, there's a lot of strategy and business involved in it, and then like
Yeah.
people's feelings and stuff. It's
Yeah.
just like all these things have to come together to build an identity.
Right, right. So in that sense, I think, we are although we are talking about the brand identity, I think the same thing could be said for any type of design activities, I guess, right? Yeah, because I think,
Sure.
what we are trying to do is, again, speaking out duality, in order for the brand identity to be consistent, you would have to somehow change. And that kind of contradicting ideas. And as you said, over time, environment changes and the condition changes. So how we can keep this kind of a, self identity in that, vast changing environment. That's why it's kind of interesting and also exciting to think about how can we do that. And I'm so curious about, how my fellow designers are doing it. How can you do it?
Well, I was actually talking about this with another designer earlier on, and the aspect of a design identity, like where does it begin and when does it end, right? Because it's something that our clients pay us to help them with, right? And make this brand identity. But the thing that sometimes I feel is that this massive sort of was it complex about um, like basically the identity and how it shifts through time, and then it matches with business and all that kind of stuff. Like it's a moving target to
Yeah.
me, I feel.
Yeah.
And it depends on the team that you have. It depends on the culture, the budget, the technology, the product, and what's popular in politics. All of that stuff
Yeah.
affects it,
Yeah. Right.
right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're asking me like how I do it. It's tough because I almost think that there's so many things, and you just kind of have to like prioritize and pick your battles, and just hope that the people that are around you are on the same team, and we're all moving in the same direction.
Yeah. 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 Right. And also I think again, talking about the brand, I think, the brand identity is, if it's about expressing who you are, it should be set in stone and that's it. But, as you said, that there are so many different things coming in to influence that self-image. And so, but often cases, I think it's rare for us designers coming outside from outside into the project.
Right,
It's just kind of a pinpoint influence that we can make,
right.
not as opposed to, being in the company, building the brand together, so it's a kind of a, difficult kind of situation that, how can we influence through our participation to the project, to the, the scope beyond our existence, our
Right.
influence beyond that, with
So I have a question for you.
yeah.
Like when you do a rebrand or you're building a brand identity,
Mhm.
like I said earlier, there's a number of things that goes into it. Part of it is like values, the service, the products, and there's also like business goals involved as well, right?
Yeah.
And when you work with a client, sometimes they say things like, we're authentic, or that's a big one, sustainability, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Have you ever worked on a project or a brand identity where you just feel like maybe I've lied a little bit?
Lied about.
Or, intentionally or unintentionally? Because maybe, I mean, I think there's sometimes it's like the company or the brand has a good intention that
Right.
this is the direction
Mm-hmm.
we want to go for.
Yeah.
But you get to see underneath
Mhm.
everything
Yeah.
on how that company works, right? And do you ever feel like, there's like a mismatch here, you know?
Right, right. Yeah, that's true. I think we get into the um, kind of a hard part of the what we do. Yes, yes, yes. We do have that kind of a situation.
Right.
Yeah,
And then so how do you handle that? Because like, I mean, part of it is like, you don't want to misrepresent, but at the same time,
yeah, right.
yeah,
So, um, first of all, luckily enough, our case, and of course, yes, we do have that kind of a situation, a kind of struggle. But luckily enough, we are not seeing the huge gap between what is represented and what it is, what it is. So in that sense, we are not necessarily, lying anything, but sometimes we do struggle because, you know, we would like to project this image to the public, but, often cases there's a slight gap. So what we're gonna try through the design is not try to lie about it. How we can be honest to ourselves and try to be closer to what we would like to project to. And that's, I think, part of the kind of contribution that we can make as a
right,
designers. So kind of a filling the gap between, what we would like to be and what we are now. So
right.
yeah.
So would you say that part of that is to kind of make this aspirational
Mhm.
goal at the same time, or
Yeah,
like,
could be. Yeah, if that's the case, I think, let's say, this is imaginally kind of project that we receive some kind of a, design project to, I don't know, rebranding. But you come across that challenge. And one of the things that we might be able to propose is to, wait a minute, even though what we are asked to do was rebranding, but maybe we would have to restructure ourselves first.
right,
And of course, that cannot be met, but I think those are the kind of things that we're gonna, try to do.
right. How much is that? So how much of it comes from inside versus how much of it is like what we want to be? You think is that breakdown of like how we think about what creates the brand identity?
Yeah. So when you say come from,
Right. Well, so what I'm saying is that that's why I asked the question about whether or not you ever feel like you're misrepresenting or potentially like creating things
yeah,
that
yeah,
isn't true to what this
right,
company is,
right,
right?
right. So again, in that sense, you know, coming from us, meaning that, not us as, ourselves, us as a team member with a client.
Right.
Yeah, in that sense, I think we would have to be aligned. So if we see that misalignment here, well, what we're going to try to do is kind of mend that, misalignment in the design process, but before, how we can align together to, as a client designers.
Is that important to have that alignment to work with the client in
I,
that
I,
way?
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I think, just as, today's speaker, one of the speakers said that there needs to be love about, the
Right.
brand that you are, representing. So I think you would have to be, I think, true to yourself and then also true to your brand that you are trying to represent.
Okay. I mean, that sounds wonderful.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But
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 yeah, but in reality,
what
yes.
happens when you work? Testing, testing. Is this better? Yeah, okay.
This thing.
So my question was going to be, what happens when you, as a, maybe you're part of a team, or maybe you just have no choice somehow,
Right,
and
right.
you're working on a project or a business, brand identity that you just don't care about?
Yes, yes. Yeah. Well, actually, I think that sometimes happen.
Yeah, right. Like
Yes.
I mean, I guess one choice would be just to leave,
Mhm.
right? But
Yeah.
I mean, that's also people's jobs, their
Right.
lives, and like, you know.
Yeah. So I think couple of things that we can do. In my case, what I would do would be I'm not a fighter actually. I would
No, no
probably
fairness hygiene or anything.
no. Oh, um, no offense. But I would probably, keep the position and just try to finish the work. But in that process, I would try to do as much as possible to fill the gap.
Oh,
But
okay.
as you said that in reality, things are not necessarily perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah. So sometimes I struggle, and sometimes just let it go. That would happen.
yeah.
That's what it is.
I don't know if this is good to say because I'm pretty sure clients will have a chance to listen to this, but like my perspective is that I almost think of it as like, I've been casted into a movie. I might as well act that part.
Mm-hmm.
If I need to act that part, this is the like, how would I do that if I'm in this character?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
almost like I'm telling a story that is not part of myself. This might be where I'm a little bit different compared to other designers because like I think, the earlier conversation was like about love, and I think I love the aspect of putting pieces together to create this identity.
Yeah.
And it might, I mean, other than ethics, like if it's ethically wrong to work with this company, I'd rather not do that. But
Right.
I
Right.
do think that it is interesting to kind of step into this other world and
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
understand like
Right.
where
Right.
they're,
Yeah.
yeah, like an
So
actor,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. I feel the same way. And of course, there should be some kind of like, self awareness and self personality, projected onto whatever you do. But still, I think, yeah, my metaphor is not acting, but I sometimes feel that the design work is a kind of like a doctor, receiving the diagnosis and, just kind of hearing what they say. And then,
That's a good one. Yeah, I've heard
yeah,
that.
and the doctor is not projecting, what I think, but, kind of analyzing all the things that I hear and then try to find the kind of common thread, so that in that sense, I think it's not acting on your own. It's a kind of, pretending to be something else, I guess.
Right. I
Yeah.
do like the doctor analogy though. That's
Yeah.
something that I've used sometimes where like, clients will say, I like this color or this, I don't like that. And it's like, well, it's like going to a doctor and telling them, I don't want this medicine. I want this stuff. Yeah, it's that, right?
Yeah.
So,
Oh, oh,
go ahead.
Hey,
hello.
hello. Can I interrupt?
Sure.
Hello.
So, it's just interesting you're talking about a doctor, but I had one question where, what if you guys, like brand designers, sometimes overdo the design, and even if the product is like a shitty product, uh, the brand looks so good because of you guys. And so, when you talk about doctors, and we might be over, um, giving them overdose or something. But what do you do when the brand looks actually better than what they are? Like it kind of taps into what you were talking about before, but um can it like, and also can it save the shitty product? Like even if the product's shitty, what do you think?
Well, that's a tough question. Well, it's two ways to answer that, I think. One way is if the product that you're working on is shitty, and then so be it, Um, either you just kind of just do your work, as much as possible and then let it go, or try. My personal approach is not to hide it because that's kind of betrayal to the customers. So if the product is bad, what I would do is I'm going to fight with the client. But again,
You're gonna fight?
I'm not a fighter, so I'm not good at it. But at least I would try to kind of persuade.
Right. Or at least point out here's where you guys are clearly, contradicting yourself or
Oh yeah,
making issues. Yeah.
yes, yes. Well, again, a lot of topics today is about contradicting ideas. So I think the true kind of a question is how can we take a balance between these two contradicting, conditions and ideas? Yeah.
Well, for me, I I think it also depends because there's a lot of companies that start off with like a V1 or V2 and a V3 of like whatever their product is.
Hmm.
It could be kind of crappy at first, but I think, having a strong brand identity could really inspire how it improves over time
Yeah.
and builds that up.
Right. So I think that would be true. One of the things that I heard was if you dye your hair pink, you would become that person's personality. So I think that could happen. A strong brand could raise the product.
Right.
So
Like changing clothes
yeah,
to
yeah.
like,
So
yeah.
kind of perception, but
But
if
if you're like a terrible person in the core, there's nothing
oh
that can
yeah,
change that.
right. Um, So I think the work would work both ways, but I would think because it's a perception built in the people's mind. If we are talking about the brand identity, I think if we keep lying about who we are, it's going to be somehow exposed, and people would realize.
Or maybe one day it'll be true.
Oh yeah, could be ugly. What was it called in English?
What is it? Like fake it till you make it, right? Is that it?
Yeah, yeah,
Well, you have to like fake it and then make it as quickly as possible, maybe.
could be. Nowadays, I think that may work too. As long as you are trying to, improve yourself, I think
Maybe that's part of it, right? Like
yeah,
there's a commitment factor to
right.
this is who we are
Mm-hmm.
mostly, but this is where we want to go, and you're committed to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's also one of the big aspects around branding is,
Mm-hmm.
how do you bring everyone together in a image that everyone can share and move towards that direction?
Right. Yeah, yeah. So I think in that sense, I think brand is not necessarily, just the true reflection of who you are. It could be aspiration part of it, it's the aim, yeah, to get to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Doesn't seem like an easy concept to understand though.
Right, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially if it's just one person, I think it's kind of easier to do. But a lot of cases, I think it's teamwork. and how we can kind of, get in the same, get on the same page.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Definitely, I think there's an exponential power increase when there's more people that have an alignment to the brand and like,
Right. Yeah.
move in the same direction.
Right. So another reason that we wanted to talk about the brand identity today was because I think a lot of cases, if it's brand let's say company logo or something, and then there's and typically speaking, I think there's a certain system, right? Kind of guidelines and
Right.
so that many people got involved and there's no misunderstanding whatsoever, and there's this, strict rule to be kept. But actually, as you said, over time, the things changes and the context changes. Eh, so we would have to of course, keeping those rules is a good thing, but often the cases, it would become kind of a, liability.
Right. Actually, I see that truth happening. And like, this is the question I always have in my head as well as, how important is the logo anyways? Like, does the logo even matter in
Yeah.
the sense of a brand identity?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
I know that doing guidelines and creating these rules and the do's and do nots are happening, but at
Right.
the end of the day, like, how much of that actually matters for the overall brand impression?
Yeah. So maybe we over rated the logo. I don't know who did it, but yeah, you're right. I think in that sense, there could be some, what based brand identity. What we do, like, I do make, liquors or, shoes or whatever. So those are the kind of a what based identity. And also there's a how based identity as well. Aggressive in changing, fighting. So that kind of identity, it doesn't have to be represented by this, shape or symbol.
Okay.
Could be. I don't know.
Like expressions and like
Yeah.
imagery and types of things that I don't know, like maybe like in social media or whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But again, I think the idea is how can we pinpoint in our conversation the brand that we are talking about is the same thing. In order for us to project in our minds the same thing, maybe
Yeah.
some kind of visual cue might be needed. And of course, that doesn't necessarily have to be exactly the same, as long as even vaguely, there's a certain kind of a trigger for us to have the correct
Right.
understanding. And maybe for that, particular purpose, logo might be, or the symbol might be there.
But
Yeah.
this is what happens though.
Yeah.
Then you say like you open the floodgates to like it's not exactly this and you don't have to follow this rule and then
Right.
people go crazy and do all kinds of weird stuff that's like, I don't think you should have done that either.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah. So again, it's not, kind of a, clearly set in stone. There's no, clear guidance to that. That's why it's kind of a, always we are struggling, right? And this becomes, the question.
Right.
Because
It's
there's
called
no
a
answer.
guideline, not a rule book, right?
Yeah, yeah. And so what we try to do sometimes is, yeah, the things that called brand book, making that, it's not the guidelines of rule books. It's more about the philosophy, the visualizing the philosophy, what we are, cared about. And those are the things that we put onto. And it's so difficult to kind of communicate though.
Yeah, that's the hardest one. It's actually the most important one, I would think,
Mhm.
but it's also the one that most people like if you shared within teams and partners is the hardest one to understand because there's so much left to interpretation.
Right, right. But actually, again, if we are just leaning towards the easy passage, which is okay, follow the guidelines. That's it. There's no mistake. There's a certain kind of, set rules. But I think if we just kind of take that route, brand would die. It's a brand is like a kind of language. It's living entity, organic entity.
I like that. It's like a language.
Oh yeah.
Because like we have like the basis, right? But
Yeah.
then we add new lingo
Right.
and like
Yeah.
slang, and
Yeah.
the young people take it and they make, make shortcuts and
Yeah, and in any case, I think the purpose of the language is to communicate. It's a kind of a tool to communicate the same thing.
right.
So for that matter, I think, yeah, I didn't think about it, but brand might be very close to language.
That's cool. So you and I have been working in this kind of stuff for a long time, and we
Mhm.
work with clients. Is there stuff that we always do, but it feels like a waste of time, but we have to do it anyways?
Yeah, one of the things is well, actually, to be honest with you, we just did it, but making the guidelines.
The guy.
Yeah, guidelines.
I know it's like the thing that is easiest to show because that's
Yes.
what it's like a deliverable.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So you have to do it.
Yeah, and also it's a very appreciated.
Like, and then once you create it, this like thanks, and then nobody looks at it anymore.
Well, that would be better, but actually the worst thing is they stick to the guidelines.
Or yeah, that would
Yeah, because this is a rule. Nobody can touch it,
Right, right,
That's the
right.
worst case. They can break it, you know.
right.
Yeah. Oh,
Yo.
いいの名前言わないでほしいんですけど。Time.
Oh.
So, sorry to interrupt your
Wow.
conversation, but so yeah, it's the conversation's gone lots of good insights, but thank you very much, and let's keep the conversation going. You guys are staying until evening, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
So yeah, so I have to cut off the session right now. So this is the end of session 6. So please give a round of applause to Nabu-san and Roy.